org every Wednesday, a conservative LGBT talk show. We are your voice. Here's your host, Brian Talbert and Chris O'Shea.
That's right. Welcome to episode 3 of On the Air with the Deplorable Pride. Today is August 29th, 2018. I'm Chris O'Shea here once again with Brian Talbert. Brian, what's good in the hood?
How you doing? Doing great.
Doing good. Now, last week we recapped our adventures at the 2018 Charlotte Gay Pride Parade, and we talked a little bit about the local Antifa situation here in the Queen City. We also lightly touched on an issue that's been kind of something that's been going on, I think, not just here, but across the country, and I think that's the Republican Party reaching out and building that bridge between the LGBT community. And we've got some exciting stuff coming up later on this week where hopefully we're going to be making positive steps forward in starting the construction of that bridge, so to say.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first chance we've seen, really, any time that we've seen them actually coming to the table and willing to, see where we can, build that bridge.
Yep. So tomorrow, Brian and I will be sitting down with a couple of leaders from the RNC here in North Carolina to discuss ways in which the Republican Party and the LGBT community can maybe come together and work on some common goals. We've got some ideas that we're going to share, and I think that it's really positive step forward that they're willing to sit down and have a conversation.
I definitely want to give them the credit. To give them credit that they are taking the step to, that's more than we've gotten anywhere with the local GOP. And so I have to give them credit for that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think that it's going to be productive, and next week we'll be able to fill you guys in on some more information about what we actually discuss and what will be happening going forward. But I think that's the big highlight of this week is going to be having that meeting and seeing where we can go with this.
And the president in town Friday is a good highlight for the week as well.
Except for the fact that we're not going to be able to get anywhere close to him because I don't know if you saw the prices to get into this fundraiser. $1,000 just to get in. $10,000 if you want to get a picture with him. $25,000 to get a picture and to participate in a quote unquote roundtable with the president.
Yes. And then I actually saw on someone's post earlier that in order to get it's not just open to anyone. So you have to contact either Mark Harris campaign or the representative who this is for as well. Contact their campaign. And if they approve you, they'll send you the invitation. So still you got to go through two different processes. You got to have the money, and then it's like you got to be approved. So I'd honestly, some fundraisers like that just leave a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths.
I guess all the more credit to them if they can raise that sort of money. If there's people out there who have $25,000 to throw down.
Yeah, but don't sit back and say that you're going to extend an invitation to the common people when I don't know many common people that one can afford $1,000, let alone $10,000 to $25,000.
Yeah, it is definitely interesting.
That's one thing we've got to work on in improving the image of the GOP, because that's as a GOP, as a proud Republican, I look at that and I just see something that I don't like.
Well, they need to raise money, and if you look at how the Democrats are doing it as far as raising money and sending money from different states.
Yeah, but they throw concerts with Beyonce out there and allow the regular people to come. We ought to be able to have a presidential concert, and we all get to come.
Well, I think that's what the Trump rallies are. I really wish that there was a actual rally this week, with his trip to Charlotte, but I guess it's just going to be the fundraiser, which maybe we can find a way to participate from the outside. I was thinking that maybe we could get together at the airport and watch as Air Force One lands or takes off or something. Yeah. I'm not sure where the event's going to be held, but maybe we can figure out where it's going to be. And
it's going to be at the Trump golf course. It's going to be at the Trump golf course in Mooresville.
That's what I've heard too, but logistically speaking, I don't see how they could do that, because anyone who's familiar with this part of North Carolina, the I-77 from Charlotte to Mooresville, where Trump National is. The traffic is horrible. They're doing construction. They're trying to expand it because it's just, I mean, the traffic is miserable. I don't see how on a Friday afternoon they would be able to get the presidential motorcade from Charlotte Douglas Airport all the way up to Mooresville without it just being complete chaos.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's going to be complete chaos. But I mean,
Wow.
that's what the invitations are saying. The flyers that I've seen says it's at the golf course.
Wow. Well, if that's the
That's
case,
quite
then
a-
I think that we can probably put together a little roadside rally. I know that area pretty well.
I have no idea where they would. I thought about maybe they might fly in from Concord. Because
Well,
I don't know if that's big enough.
it may be, but I don't know. We'll have to play that one by ear.
Yeah.
But
We got a roadside rally coming up Saturday in
exactly,
Concord.
a rally for the people.
Yeah, at McGee Park. We're gonna have gonna sit out there with our road signs. We're gonna have Trump flags, American flags, all kinds of supplies for you. We're gonna have hot dogs and come out and show your support for your president and our country. This Saturday at 10:30 at McGee Park on Corbin Avenue in Concord, North Carolina. Should be a good event.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing more of these, and I think that it would be really cool if we could get people, not just here in North Carolina, because we're already picking up. We got a woman up in the Winston-Salem area who's going to be organizing events up there. We're going to be hosting a rally with her next weekend, which we need to discuss that more. But across the country, we need more people to get out and get involved in different ways. The 2018 midterm election is going to be all about voter turnout. It's whichever side gets the most people to the polls. And I think that we have a huge opportunity here because the Trump supporters are passionate and enthusiastic, and we believe in what the president is doing as far as the economy and trade deals. Just this week with Mexico. And we have a lot of things to celebrate, a lot of accomplishments and victories, and a lot of goals that we're still working towards as a country and as Trump supporters. And these roadside rallies are an opportunity for people to come together and to celebrate, to talk about why we're happy with what the president's doing and why we support candidates who support the president.
It's also important for therapy because one, you get being on social media all week, and you have to deal with the constant fighting, the bickering. This is a chance to come out, be with like-minded people, have fun, spend a couple of hours. If you can only come by for like 15 minutes running errands, come by, meet some people who think just like you. Have some fellowship with them, and it release the stress that you've accumulated throughout the week.
It's reassuring when you see the reactions from people. We've talked about that before, about how cool it is to see.
You'll see that overwhelming
with thumbs up and flashing their lights.
You'll see the overwhelming majority of people going down the road. They're either in support or they just don't make an opinion either way. You have very few of those that want to flip you off or say F Trump or something. You have very few of them, but it does you good to see that the overwhelming majority out there do support you and support the president.
Definitely. And there's other ways to get involved too. Just this last weekend, I attended a training workshop that the local Republican Party put together, and it was to get new volunteers oriented with the different ways that they can help out in the 2018 election. And it's all stuff that's going to carry on in the 2020 election. I know that we have our differences with some of the people within the local GOP, and we've had our problems. And we are seeing more opportunities to work with new people who are getting involved in leadership positions. And that's what's going on with our meeting this week. But as far as volunteering and helping out, it's important that we all are working towards the same goal, which is getting Republicans elected in November. And we're doing that the same way that Trump was elected, which is knocking on doors, informing voters, collecting data. That's the big thing. When I first started knocking on doors in 2016, that was not explained clearly, and it was confusing to me and to a lot of other people. We felt we were out there just banging on doors, asking questions, taking surveys, and we didn't know why. We thought we were out there in an effort to sell Trump, to persuade people to vote for Donald Trump. In fact, the reason they have people going door to door, and they're doing this across the country, is to kind of get a reading on where people stand, what's important to people. Are people aware of the election coming up? Do they know why it's important to vote? And it's all local. Politics is local. I know there's that expression. All politics is local. So by going door to door and talking with people, asking the questions, and submitting that information to the Republican Party, they're able to then go figure out what issues matter in what neighborhoods, and where do they need to spend money, where do they need to spend more time.
One issue I found knocking on doors last year for the Republican Party in Mecklenburg County, I found that a lot of the people that you knock on the doors, these are registered Republicans. They're not independents. They're not Democrats. So you were walking into, like, supposedly you thought friendly territory. But I found an overwhelming majority of the people that I was knocking on their door had no idea who the Republican candidate for mayor was. I don't know what they're using. They need to also be, using this information that they're collecting from these people, but also sending information back out as to who the candidates are and everything. I found that to be that close to an election. I found that to be shocking that it was overwhelming majority of the doors I knocked on had no idea who Kenny Smith was. And if a person has to really sit there and explain to these people from the beginning who Kenny Smith is, without them first knowing him, and then trying to convince them as to why he is the best person to vote for in that election, that's a lot of invested time for one person. You understand what I'm saying?
I get it. I understand what you're saying.
It just seems like if this was brought and executed from a higher level, say from the MEC GOP or from the local Republican parties, is executed on a higher level with them, that the message wouldn't get lost with the person who's knocking on the doors, and the person who is the voter there will actually, I just don't understand what the disconnect was last year. When Kenny Smith had been on city council, I would just assume that people would know him from there. But, like I said, it was like the overwhelming majority. So they need to take, like I said, that information and figure out where the disconnect is with the voters and the candidates. For us to have lost the way we did in the last election, I cannot believe that we do not have someone already declared in Charlotte to say that they're running as mayor. I mean, it's like they're waiting to the last minute to announce the person. That could be another reason as to why nobody has any idea who the candidate is.
Well, there may be other factors involved in that too. That's much more of a local issue than, I think, the midterm elections. Yeah. Although it is, an indication of an area where maybe the Republican Party needs to improve, at least on the local level. Yeah. The point of the door knocking is to collect data and to find out, is there an issue, and if so, hopefully they address the issue. If they do or don't, that's beyond what any of us can do. But that's something that's important. It's something that helped in 2016 with the Trump campaign and the Trump victory, and they're doing it again this year. I encourage anyone who's looking to get involved. That's one way that the Republican Party does need help. I'm sure that wherever you're at, your local GOP could use you to go out and knock on doors as well. They also do it over the phone. They phone bank, whether it's from home or if you want to go to the local GOP headquarters. I know that they have nights where they do phone banking. And again, it's just to ask a couple questions, find out where the voters are, what's important to them, and that way they can take that data and hopefully make the right decisions as far as where to spend money, where to spend time, and what issues to focus on, what matters most in what neighborhoods. Now, the third way that we're going to be getting involved, especially, and we've discussed, is the voter registration drives. Now, this is crucially important because, like I said, this is all about voter turnout this year. So for anyone that's moved to North Carolina, for example, or to whatever state you're in and hasn't updated their voter registration, or for anyone who's likely to vote Republican but isn't registered to vote, it's important that we get the information out them as far as how they can register, and they need to do it by the beginning of October. At least in North and South Carolina, I think it's October 6th in South Carolina, maybe the 12th in North Carolina, but it's the beginning of October is the deadline to register. North Carolina, I know that they can do same-day registration during the early voting period. So that's, I guess, for the last-minute Larrys who wait until the deadline in order to register. They can actually register the same day that they vote during that early voting period.
Yeah,
but
we need to do away
people
with
register, that's going to be crucial. That's critically important for us. So I know that you and I are going to be setting up teams where we go out and deliver these voter registrations to addresses and for individuals that the Republican Party has identified as unregistered but likely to vote for Republicans. And we need to be thinking about other ways that we can find voters who may not be registered, who are likely to vote Republican, and get them signed up as well. At the Gay Pride Parade.
Yeah, it wouldn't be bad for us to, I was going to say festivals, parades, stuff like that.
The thing is, we need to identify where it's likely to be conservative, because there's no way to know who someone's going to vote for if you register them to vote. And if we go to, like we had discussed at the Gay Pride Parade, most of the people there are going to be voting Democrats. And that's the issue that we need to work on, is making it more even so it's Democrats and Republicans. But the Gay Pride Parade right now, that's mostly Democrats. So,
well, that's because they don't have any. They don't get to see any Republicans out there preaching any type of message.
True, but that's not the place to register voters, because we're just going to be registering people for the other side. But we need to be thinking about, where can we register? Where can we find people who are more likely to vote Republican, and set up registration drives at those sorts of events? So anyone listening, if you've got ideas, we would love to hear your comments or suggestions. You can leave a comment at Spreaker or on YouTube, wherever you're watching or listening to this podcast, or send us an email or comment on Facebook. If you've got an idea of where we're likely to find Republicans that we can register to vote, let us know. Someone had mentioned churches. I personally don't do the whole organized religion thing, so that's a world that's somewhat foreign to me. But that's certainly an area that we're probably more likely to find conservatives, Republicans. But we're looking for other ideas as well. But we've got enough on our plate as it is, as far as doing the reverse walk books, where we've got addresses where we know that there are people that are likely to vote Republicans that need to be registered. Now, the other ways that we're encouraging people to get involved for 2018 to help drum up enthusiasm and support for Republicans is the roadside rallies and other events that we can organize and put together at the grassroots level.
That's something that people can, if they're not really into the hardcore campaigning or anything, the roadside rallies is a perfect example of an event that they can come to that actually does produce results and everything. We've seen it, just the 2 roadside rallies that I've done. We've seen people coming off the streets and, want to become part of it. And these are actually people, at the one down in Pineville, we had people that come in that were, they were minorities. They were ones that, you would think would vote Democrat, that were stopping and saying that, they were proud registered Republicans and stuff like that. And you get to see, you get to show other citizens out there that might be ashamed to say how they voted or whatever, or show their support or out of fear. And you can get, it gives people a little bit of confidence that, hey, there's other people out there like me. They're willing to get out here. I can get out here too. And they'll see that it's, it's a very peaceful event. Have a good time. But that's a good way for people to, wet their foot and getting involved with this.
So for more information on these sorts of events, if you want to get involved, you can check us out at deplorablepride.org. Find us on Facebook, carolinas4trump.us. Find us on Facebook there as well if you're in the North or South Carolina area. And of course, get in touch with us if you want to organize something and you need help getting set up. We'd be happy to work with you to go step by step through the process to identify a location and get you set up with the equipment that you need in order to have a successful roadside rally. And if you want to get involved in a more official capacity with the campaign or with the GOP, if you need help finding out how to do that, contact us as well. We'd be happy to point you in the right direction there. But aside from campaigning, what else is new this week, Brian? I know it's kind of been a quiet week, which is a good thing in some ways, but what else is good on your end?
Well, nothing much on my end. I'm still recovering a little bit from the Charlotte Pride thing. I think last week I didn't have much of a voice left, but now it's going on into full politic mode for the midterms.
Full speed ahead.
Yeah, if I can just stay off Facebook arguing with the ignorant liberals, I can be all right, and maybe get a little bit more done.
What are some of the biggest arguments that you run into on Facebook and social media? What seems to be the hot topics these days?
The hot topics, the Confederate monuments now. I think we've got an issue here in North Carolina. We do have a rise of Antifa. It's Antifa and Black Lives Matter who are behind these monument vandalisms. There's no doubt in my mind with that. And I've noticed one other thing that I was looking at the court proceedings the other day with the UNC Chapel Hill people over the Silent Sam statue, and the two main people who were in court was an Asian man and a white woman. And isn't that always the breakup? I mean, it's like, even though you have a Black Lives Matter element, you have the Antifa element, but it's always the Asian male and the white female, the white liberal female, who are basically the ringleaders calling the shots. I just found that to be a little odd.
Interesting. What do you mean by that?
Just like you saw when we were at the RNC thing, the two people who one of the two main ringleaders was the Asian couple that was there at that rally. And then turn around, who do we see on the news who has another issue regarding Trump? Those two again. You remember those two?
I know exactly who you're talking about. And actually, those two individuals were on the news like that very week.
Yeah.
With a video that they recorded. I guess someone pulled over. They had a "fuck Trump" sign in their front yard.
Yeah.
And someone had pulled over, and incidentally in a truck that looked suspiciously like yours, but it wasn't. It didn't have the decals, and it wasn't you. You could clearly see it in the video, but it almost looks like it might have been a setup.
I think the whole
conspiratorial at that.
I think the whole issue was a setup, and I think they were looking for media attention by this, because if you noticed, you didn't. There was nothing else has been mentioned about this. I don't think. I mean, honestly, I don't think anyone took that as serious. It looks. I mean, it was just perfect the way that it was all being filmed and everything. And there are crazy people out there, but. But the one thing about the even the guy on the video that pulled over and came into the guy's yard, I mean, hell, he even said he was a Bernie Sanders supporter. Yeah, so something just didn't seem right about the whole thing. And then when we saw him out at the RNC rally, and she's the one that told you that you didn't have free speech because you were white.
Yeah. These people that we're talking about, the story, I'm bringing it up right here. One of them is the executive director at the Southeast Asian Coalition, and the other one is, I believe, an immigration attorney.
The man's an immigration attorney.
Yep. And let's see. The article says he didn't even call the police because he doesn't trust the police.
Yeah.
And there was a big rally in there.
Because it was his buddy that pulled up in the front yard. That's how all of that went down.
They've got a "fuck Donald Trump" sign. They've got a "Black Lives Matter" sign and a "Refugees Welcome Here" sign in their front yard. And this is interesting, Brian. I hadn't looked at this before, but it is a whole bunch of Asian people behind this. And the sign that they're holding says "This jail kills," which I guess that's the reason why they were out there at the RNC thing, was because they were protesting the jail.
Yeah.
And this guy's wearing an "Abolish ICE" T-shirt. So these are kind of radical activists, and they're not just.
And they were there. And they were there for one purpose. I mean, you saw it as the RNC thing when they were there actually protesting the jail and saw us as another target, so they decided to come after us. But you saw it's like they were coordinated in how they rolled in, and they were coordinated as how they rolled out. It was like in and out. It was they weren't there like we were. They weren't there to like protest or rally for something. They were there on a timetable. They were punching the clock. And I believe that if you want to find a lot of the root to this activism from the left, I think those two, the Asian couple, I think they're a perfect place to start.
Now, I'm looking at, and we're doing this live as we record this podcast. I'm looking at a picture of their sign that says "This jail kills," and it looks very similar as far as the material it's made out of and the way it's made, as the sign that the Antifa people carry. It says "Fight racist in the street."
Yeah.
So
they're all the same. They're all the same, just like the Red Guards. I believe the Red Guard. From what I have been able to,
the Red Guards and Antifa are one and the same.
Yeah, but I think it's like with the Red Guards here in Charlotte. A lot of the Red Guards around the chapters around the country get a lot of their orders or whatever from the Red Guards in Los Angeles. Outside of that one, the next biggest one is Austin, Texas. Those two right there, I do believe, are actually being run out of that city by individuals. But as far as like the Red Guard here in Charlotte and other cities around the country, I don't think there's actually is a Red Guard. I do believe that they're a crossover between Antifa and the people who want to be are the communist loving scum. Because they're all at the exact same events. If you look at, and just like you can see by Antifa's post on Facebook compared to Red Guard's post, they interact a lot. If you look at the same people who are liking their comments and the people who are actually commenting, they're the same people that actually like and comment and follow Antifa. So I think it's a group of the same people supporting two groups, but the shots are being called by outside of the area.
Yeah, this is it's interesting as we dive deeper into this world to try and connect the dots and see where all this energy and where the organization is coming from. So I guess this will be an ongoing theme of the podcast is the local Antifa and Red Guards.
I'm hoping, I really am hoping, because you saw the Red Guards Charlotte's post regarding the police telling them they had to remove their mask. They even said it themselves. They said in their 18 months of protesting in Charlotte, they have never been threatened with arrest over the mask issue. And they said, because of me telling the police of that now that they have to remove their mask now. So I'm wondering if we haven't seen pretty much the last of them. Because their numbers are not there when they can't cover their face. So I'm hoping that we might have, I'm sure we hadn't stopped them, but I'm hoping that we put a big dent in how they can recruit now, because they've, like I said, a lot of them have balls when they can do it in, under anonymity as to who they're going to, people not being able to see who they are.
Well, we'll continue to work on uncovering and unmasking Antifa.
Not stopping until they're squashed.
Exactly. Now, as we're wrapping up this episode, we do have some exciting stuff coming up this week. As mentioned earlier in the podcast, we have a big meeting with local RNC leaders to discuss ways in which we can begin building a better connection between the LGBT community and the Republican Party. We've also got the roadside rally on Saturday here in Concord, North Carolina. Trump is going to be in Charlotte on Friday. We may or may not end up doing something.
We also have another important event. We have my court case against the former leader of Charlotte Antifa. I've got my court case against him on Friday morning.
Now, without getting into too much detail, for anyone that's not aware of what the situation is, do you want to give them the quick Spark Notes version?
Yeah, I've had an ongoing online battle with Aaron Medlin, who is the former leader of Charlotte Antifa. We have proof of that. He chimes in every now and then wants to start arguments, wants to play victim. So apparently, during one of our online arguments, he said I threatened bodily harm. So he went and got a warrant taken out. Well, not a warrant; it's a judgment to be in court for cyber stalking. So we're gonna go in there with the evidence I have to prove his character and prove that he does also like to make fake accounts and pretend he's other people, so he can actually go onto his own page, harass himself, then argue back with himself, and then acts like he blocks himself. It's quite a sight to watch.
And this is going to be on Friday as well. So I guess we'll start the day off at the Mecklenburg County Courthouse.
I know
we may end up either at the Trump National up in Mooresville, or if we find out that it's if the president's going to be at a different location, maybe we'll bring the rally gear just in case.
I know that Aaron will not be in court on Friday, being as it's a first time appearance thing. So we won't have pictures of him Friday, but I guarantee you we'll have pictures of him on the first court date. So stay tuned to that, because he is still very much involved with Antifa. He may not be in a leadership role any longer, but he's definitely got an influence with them, and I'm going to expose that.
Now, last but certainly not least, we've got an exciting interview coming up next week.
Oh, yes.
Did you want to mention that, Brian?
Yes, we've got Brandon Spreaker from the Walkaway campaign will be joining us next Wednesday for our podcast and discuss, how the Walkaway campaign started, what he sees in the future for it. And if any of you have any questions that you'd like for us to ask him, you can email us at contactdeplorablepride@gmail.com, and we'll look over some questions and see what we think we can ask him. And but it should be it's going to be like a nice, quick 10-minute interview. And then the following Wednesday, we're going to have Michelle Nix, who is the vice chairman of the North Carolina GOP. I think she's the first lady to ever serve in that role. So she's an up and coming star and a very big supporter of the LGBT community. So got two back-to-back really good guests.
This is exciting as our podcast grows, and this is again our third episode. So episode 4, we're going to have our very first guest. Brandon Straka will be the first guest on the air with Deplorable Pride. Then Michelle Nix, and I know we've got some other guests that we're going to be putting together for future episodes. But
we tried our best to get Lindsey Thompson. We tried our best to get Lindsey Thompson with HB2 Day, but he never would take us up on our offer.
Well, that's another story for another day, I think.
Yeah.
But all right. Anything else you want to add in before we wrap this one up, Brian?
No, just when we wanted to let people know that when we hold our events and everything, if I know a lot of you want to give us prayers and everything, and say that you're there for us as a spirit and stuff, and want to know how you could help from wherever you are, you can go to our webpage, deplorablepride.org, and donate. Help us to fund these roadside rallies, help us fund these protests whenever they arise. And you can do that by $1, $5, $10. Every donation helps. You can see a list of all of our events that we've done. We are people who are willing to get out there and do the work. Sometimes it just comes down to an issue of whether you got the money or not. So it's very important coming up for the midterms that we are visual, vocal, and vigilant out here and supporting our president, showing other people who they need to support, or we're going to lose everything that we've gained these past 2 years. So it's, like I said, it's important for us to be out there and be visual, be able to cross the state, and a donation that you could have, regardless of how small it is, you have no idea how appreciative we'll be and how much it will go to helping us in achieving our goal.
Absolutely. So those little $5, $10 donations are awesome. But I'm going to throw this out there for any of you big fish that have deeper pockets. If you want to donate $100, $500, $1,000 or more, we would certainly appreciate that as well. But we certainly appreciate the smaller donations, because that's really what matters, is the people who just chip in what they can and help out. Yes. Every little bit adds up. And Brian and I have been funding all these efforts out of our own pockets, and we're going to continue to contribute in every way that we can. Certainly, we both spend a lot of time working on stuff behind the scenes, as well as out there in the streets.
Just gets expensive.
It does get expensive, and we need. This is a team sport. We need people to be on our side to continue this sort of stuff, especially as we expand and grow.
I promise you'll get a great return for your investment in us.
Plenty of entertainment too. You can watch. Just go on Facebook and check out the videos from our past events. There's some pretty amusing and entertaining stuff, but. Check us out, deplorabllepride.org.
I've been told I got to calm down a little.
Well, we can work on that. I think that I think that your energy is one of the things that people love the most, and it's certainly something that that I'm grateful for, because you are just a fireball of energy.
The way I was thinking about this last night, I was like, I was wondering, am I wrong or am I right? And then I was like, well, the one thing I had to look back on and say, to try to come to a conclusion, was I piss off the enemies of America by the way that I act. And that can never be a bad thing.
Nope. I think that you got to do you, and you got to just kind of embrace you.
You're going to be a bitch regardless.
Well, yeah, you're on our side, and we like it. So,
y'all all better be glad I'm not a liberal, because I was a bitch then too. So at least look at it this way. At least I'm on your side.
That would be scary. But all right, guys, check us out, deplorabllepride.org. On the air with deplorabllepride.org as well. That's our podcast. Goes straight to the Spreaker page. Please like, share, spread the word. Tell people about our podcast, and check us out on Facebook, Deplorable Pride. You can also check Carolinas for Trump. My name is Chris O'Shea. You can email me at carolinasfortrump@gmail.com. Brian Talbert.
Contact deplorablepride@gmail.com. And definitely spread the word about Brendan Strickland next week in our podcast. And we'll see you next Wednesday.
Thanks for tuning in.